visited Glastonbury, where in the 12th century monks said they had discovered the graves of Arthur and Guinevere. During the day, wandering around the ruins, I encountered an Anglican priest who was posted out there. There's actually a small chapel. And we had a chance to talk. He said, "Why do you think the story of Camelot has persisted for so long, and in a variety of ways, a variety of stories?" And I said, well, clearly he's a messianic figure. It seems to have something to do with that. It's a figure of hope and restoration. He said, try this. There had been a capital crime. Guinevere and her lover from France, Lancelot du Lac, were actually guilty as charged of adultery. And it wasn't merely adultery. When you are unfaithful to the king, you've also committed a crime against the state. The evidence was in, the accused was guilty, but the king did not want the execution to proceed, and he found a way to make sure that love and forgiveness prevailed over mere justice. One of the ways to test judicial truth in those days was trial by combat. And so the charge would be read, and if no one steps up to defend, in this case Guinevere, no, okay, it's moot. The discussion's over. You're going to be executed. But if she had a champion, it would be his job to step in and call out the accuser and say, we're going to find out. And so the idea is that God would, and they have hand-to-hand combat. They'd get out their swords or axes and go to it. And the guy that's standing was the one that was telling the truth. Because God would make sure that would happen. Well, God did not always make sure that would happen. And in Mallory, one guy says, in fact, nobody steps out, and Lancelot says, I'll fight you with one hand behind my back, literally. So they tie down his left hand, and he still crushes this guy. So he said, who's the next accuser? They think, we could have been wrong. Well, everybody knows they were right. Arthur knows they were right. But executing the queen is not going to be helpful. And he loves her. And he loves his friend who did him wrong. So he'd rather not execute the law to its fullest extent.